Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about the French Milan Anti-Tank Missile. Please remember to like and subscribe. Now let's get right into it. Fact 1. French and German. The Milan Anti-Tank Missile is actually a collaboration between the French military industries and the West Germany industries when it existed. Yes, you heard that right. This anti-tank missile has been around since the Cold War, before the Germany unification, when it was still East and West Germany, with West Germany being a closer ally to France. Naturally, they cooperated together to create this anti-tank missile to improve their positions in both defense and offensive positions on land battles against battle tanks, likely aimed toward Russian battle tanks. Let's get into the next fact. Fact 2. Worldwide operators. As I mentioned in the previous section, the Milan anti-tank missile has been around for so many years. And as a result, you can see in this global map that it has been exported worldwide. So many countries use it, but I want you to pay close attention to a notable exception, which is the United States. On this map, the United States is not an operator of the Milan anti-tank missile. You may ask, why is the United States not using this, even though many Western countries are? Well, because the United States military uses its homegrown anti-missile technologies, such as the Javelin. And I think the Javelin is more powerful because it's completely mobile, meaning it doesn't need to be mounted on a tripod or on a vehicle. And it has a top-down attack mode to hit the tank at its most vulnerable position, versus the Milan, which is more of a direct fire line of sight anti-tank missile and requires a tripod or be mounted on a stable surface. Let's get into the next fact. Wire guided. So this is another interesting part that I think is the reason why the United States developed its own anti-tank missile technology. The Milan missile or rocket is actually attached to its launcher with a very small piece of wire. Although this wire can go far distances up to 3,000 meters, and the use of it is that so the operator can continue to guide the missile as it flies toward the enemy target and remote control it through this single piece of wire. And the argument is that because it is communicated through this single piece of wire, the missile cannot be impacted by any sort of radar jamming or other types of countermeasures, because it's essentially hardwired to the operator. But you can imagine deploying a thin wire really isn't a good idea. First of all, it gives away your location. Once the missile explodes or the rocket explodes and supposedly it doesn't completely disable the tank, they're gonna see a piece of wire and leading directly to the operator who fired it. And secondly, again, it really limits the distance. Yes, it's 3,000 meters, but if it's not attached, the missile could probably fly much further. And lastly, this is not a fire and forget. The operator needs to stay there and watch the missile hit its target. Versus the Javelin, for example, the operator could fire the missile and run away. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 4. Mobile mount. As I mentioned in the previous section, the Milan anti-tank missile is unique that it is not really fully mobile by people. It needs to be mounted on a tripod or generally mounted on a vehicle. You can imagine this is probably a very heavy piece of equipment, and it makes sense. This was developed in the Cold War, so the technology is probably outdated, but it is still very much in use, and so it needs to be mounted on a tank or anti-personnel carrier and things of that nature. I think this is also a limitation because, for example, the Javelin allows the operator to take it on foot, go into a hiding location, and fire the weapon, and quickly exit the area to avoid detection. The Milan, however, requires a huge transport vehicle or other ways of transporting it to the operation theater. In this day and age of mobile guerrilla warfare type battles, I think it's pretty critical they need to trim down the Milan and make it more lightweight, more nimble, so that it doesn't need to be mounted and can be easily carried and transported by individual personnel. Let's get into the next fact: 3,000 meter range. As I mentioned in previous sections, the Milan Anti-Tank Missile is actually a wire-guided missile, meaning that there's a piece of wire that continues to be attached to the missile and the launcher. So as such, it really limits its operational range. Yes, 3,000 meters is quite far, and so the operator won't be damaged by the explosion, and also they are sufficiently far enough to get a head start on retreating their position once fired. The Milan Anti-Tank Missile is from the Cold War and as such not a relatively modern technology. And the fact that it is hardwired means it really eliminates the possibility of the operator to fire and quickly retreat to another location before the missile even hits its target. I think they need to think about ways to remote control the missile or to have it self-guided, because the argument about having the wire that could be impervious to any type of radar jamming or countermeasure doesn't really make sense now, because what's more important these days is to be able to fire at a sufficient range and for the operator to quickly disappear before the enemy even know what hits him. And so I think the Milan is going to be outdated very, very soon. It is actually still used worldwide, but eventually will be replaced. Alright, that's it for my video today. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.